an agent. So his whole mindset is developing this company by an agent for agents. And being a part of leadership, I'm privy to being in some of these meetings. And I can tell you that every time the guy talks, it's one question: how does this benefit the agent? How does this benefit the agent? And I think I feel that in the culture. I mean, what's your experience been so far since you've been here?
Oh, I completely agree. Everything is about the agents. All of the decisions that are made are centered around the agents and the agent's success and making sure that the model works for them so they can build the real estate business that they.
Yeah, I agree with that. And it gets into the whole cloud-based thing, right? So let's start getting into some of that. So there's a big distinction I think people need to understand.
Sure.
You were with that big brokerage. I was with that big brokerage. Right. That's how we met.
Yep.
But, that was a franchise.
Yes.
And the thing that people need to understand is that EXP is not a franchise.
Right.
We are one company, one founder, one team. Mm-hmm. And because of that, there's one message. And I keep saying it's the oneness of the company. Mm-hmm. So like where we were before, in a franchise, you have a corporate headquarters and then you have all these different owners. Mm-hmm. And the message could be delivered much differently one part of the country than it is in another part of the country.
Absolutely.
You've experienced that.
Mm-hmm.
So here, that's not the case. And I think as you and I are talking about the culture, I think that's a big piece of it. Because there is one message, mm-hmm. It makes a difference.
Right.
And that's what I think what you're feeling.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Sure.
So we are international. Obviously, we're in the country here. We're in 23 other countries. We have grown since 2009 to over 86,000 agents in just a short period of time. Mm-hmm. So we are the fastest growing privately owned, or I should say publicly owned, since we all can get stock,
right. But
single brokerage in the world.
Mm-hmm.
And it's exciting to be a part of that, I think. Talk about the energy you've been feeling since you're meeting all these people and all the different masterminds and stuff.
Oh, it's been great. Everybody's so positive.
Yeah.
And everyone thinks in such a big way. And I thought that I came from an environment where everyone thought in a really big way. And I would say this is another level. The people that I'm spending time with, not only do they own a real estate business, many of them own different businesses. They're true entrepreneurs and business owners. And so it's not just centered around the day-to-day of real estate sales. It's centered around building true wealth, starting with your real estate business and then going from there.
It's a great point that you bring up, because I know when I talk to people, you're starting to talk to a lot of agents as well. I always ask the same question. It's like, yeah, I understand you're trying to build a business, but are you trying to build a legacy?
Right.
And how many times people look at you like, well, what do you mean?
Right.
Well, what does that even mean? Yeah. I've been in real estate for 28 years, and I can tell you for the first 27 of them, I wasn't 100% sure how I was going to get out of this thing. And that's always been kind of scary,
right.
When you're 23, 24, like we were when we started,
right.
and, you're single, you don't have kids, you don't really worry about those kinds of things. But as you move on in life, you have different priorities, right?
Absolutely.
So knowing that we have a company that has an exit strategy is very comforting to me. Mm-hmm. So
agree.
Yeah. So let's talk about what agents want to know. Like, how do I make money with your company? What are your platforms? All those kinds of things. So you just talked about thinking big,
right?
In the model.
Mm-hmm.
And I think when we talk about Glenn's vision for agent-centric, I think one of the key components of this that people need to understand is that it's your business.
Right.
You've built this business. Mm-hmm. It's your model. You're just putting it on our platform.
Yes.
So to have that kind of control, I think, is really powerful. Yeah. To have that kind of reach with marketing is very powerful. Mm-hmm. And then the collaboration part that you were talking about, I think that's why the content, the quality of the people you're talking about and the levels that you're talking about, I think that's why it's so strong.
Right.
So let's get into it. So our main program or platform for lead gen is KV Core. That's our main CRM system. The front end of that, obviously you get the website, and the back end is more for CRM and touching. But have you plugged into that system yet? And what's your thoughts on it if you have?
Absolutely. It was one of the first things I did when I transitioned over. I moved my entire business into KV Core.
Wow.
And so I find that the database management section of it is just phenomenal. I have tried a number of other CRMs in the past, and by far this one is my favorite. I think it's the most effective system I've ever used, and the simplest to use as well.
Wow.
And so all of my communication with my database, so that's past clients, friends and family, leads, prospects, all of it is happening through KV Core. And I have the ability to send emails, text messages, make calls directly through it, track all of my activities, as well as produce some of my marketing, all within that system.
Well, pretty powerful statement there.
Absolutely.
So you coach agents. Obviously,
I do.
you're a very good coach and have been coaching agents across the country for a number of years now. This whole thing's about production, right?
Sure.
I mean, the one thing that people always say to us is, "Oh, you guys are just a recruiting company."
Right.
And I think what's important for everybody to understand who's watching this is that we are a production company first. First and foremost, we sell a lot of real estate. What is your thought and your opinion on database going forward? How important is that to somebody building their business?
Oh, your database is everything. Without an organized database and a plan to communicate with it, you don't have a real estate sales business. You just don't. You might have a hobby or a practice, but it's never going to be consistent and produce the kind of results that you truly want to have.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. And along with that, we have other things for lead generation as well. We have the whole revenues platform, which through that, you're getting qualified buyer and seller leads that we give to our agents for relo, REO, express offers, all these different avenues and different lanes of places you can go to get leads,
Right.
which is really good. Transaction management. Let's take one step back and talk about the cloud thing, okay?
Right.
So everybody's like, I don't understand. What is this whole cloud-based business? I don't get it. I mean, you guys don't have offices? The answer is no, we don't need them. So I came from a traditional brokerage that had the four walls and lived in that office, as did you as well.
Yes, I did.
What do you think some of the benefits are of being cloud-based?
So being cloud-based, I can access basically anything I need at any time. And also our staff for the brokerage lives in the cloud and they are very easily accessible. And I have found that to be really refreshing. It's just send a quick message or go in during their office hours and you get the answers that you need. Everybody's very responsive. There's no delays. The support is just there. And I think that that's really important. And that's not something that you always get in a brick and mortar location. Because even if you show up to the brick and mortar, the person you want to speak with may not be there. And they may not be answering their phone or responding to text messages. And so I have found this to be a really refreshing change for the support piece as an agent. I also love this model because as real estate agents, we work wherever we are. Yeah. I spend so much time sitting in my car in between appointments working. I don't need an office to go into, right? And so yesterday I worked from the tennis club. We were on a Zoom call and I was at the tennis club. And I find that going into a brick and mortar, just the travel time alone was taking time out of my day, the back and forth. And then when I would get in there, there was usually some side conversations or which sometimes is nice, you get to catch up with people. But I have found that not being in a brick and mortar actually allows me to focus more on my business. And then when I want to go see people, I go find the people I want to see, and I'm very purposeful about those interactions.
So you bring up a couple of really good points. One is you and I both managed offices.
We did.
What does a real estate office look like on a Friday afternoon at 2 o'clock in the summer? Just out of curiosity, right? You
It's
see
a
the
ghost town.
tumbleweeds going by.
Absolutely.
There's nobody in the place.
There's nobody there.
Yeah, so here's what Glenn did. We get back to the agent-centric thing. I'm not even sure if you know this yet. So the reason why we don't have brick and mortar is getting back to the whole agent-centric philosophy. So he basically looks at it as an expense to the company. He has a 50-50 initiative. What does that mean? 50% of the total revenue that comes into the company is given back to the agents. Think about what I'm telling you. This is a multi-billion-dollar revenue company.
Yeah.
Half of that goes back to the agents because he doesn't have the overhead of brick and mortar, of putting desk in there, computers, admin, all that kind of stuff.
Right.
So that's one thing. Two, and you brought up as well with this cloud-based, is the efficiency of a realtor. I'm the same way as you. I never really needed a space. I just needed to go work.
Right.
And to have 24/7 access to our support, like you said, what if you have an accounting issue?
Right.
What if you have an IT issue?
Right.
What if you're having an issue with a transaction?
Sure.
And like you said, the manager or the broker isn't available. You're now stuck for a couple of hours.
Right.
And a lot of companies, you're not even allowed to talk to those departments. It has to go through the manager to get to somebody. So here we have this thing called the Exp world, which is a virtual world that goes along with the cloud philosophy. And what that means is we have access to this. That's basically our corporate office, if you will. And if you have an issue, if you have a question, all you have to do is go into the world. You literally wait less than a minute. I've been in it. I'm in there daily, long story short. And if I need to speak to somebody, bam, I go to that department. I have a live person on the other side of that computer, less than a minute, and I'm getting my issue taken care of. So you talk about efficiency, that allows me to move on to the next task for the day or whatever that may be. So very good, I appreciate that. The other thing when we talk about how agents are making money, we have an awesome marketing suite, thousands and thousands of tools in there to use. Have you tapped into that at all, to the marketing piece?
I have. So I go in
cool.
there periodically to create a social media graphic, and there are infographics in there that are already created for us. So I can just go customize it. If I don't feel like, recreating the wheel that morning and coming up with something that's just mine, I can pull that graphic down, pop it into social media, create a, quick description of it, and keep my day moving, which is really, really convenient. And they're nice. They're high quality graphics, which, again, in the past, I had access to different graphics that just weren't as high quality and as attractive. There's also a newsletter that I customize weekly and that I send out. And I'm really starting to see some great results just from that newsletter, and
Right, that's
using that template that's already there for me.
That's awesome. So,
Yeah.
I mean, the thing I like about the marketing suite is drip campaigns, stay in
Yes.
touch, thousands of listing brochures, buyer brochures, social media you talked about. A lot of people don't know how to do it.
Right.
Literally, it's a click of a button, and they keep it really simple. So, again, that's tremendous. One of the other things I like to talk about is the quick pay, right? You put it in, you're getting paid right away.
Right.
We like that. We're happy about that. We talked about working from everywhere. Let's talk about collaboration real quick.
Okay.
So, collaboration, I think, is one of the best attributes of this company. And we talked about it a little bit in the beginning, right? So, the amount of sharing that goes on, the amount of willingness and openness for people to say, hey, here's my playbook. This is how I do it.
Absolutely.
Are you part of any of those masterminds, and how have you found them to be?
Yeah, so weekly, there's a group that we get with that I collaborate with people who are in Maine and Florida and Texas, and it doesn't feel like there's that much distance between us. I mean, we're all doing the same thing, right?
Yep.
And there's a ton of value to having those connections in different markets and learning from each other. And at any time, I can pop into a meeting anywhere in the cloud and meet people across the company. And again, everyone is so welcoming and willing to share. In fact, when I transferred over and the announcement came out, I had a number of people reach out to me without me reaching out to them. They reached out to me directly and just sent me their stuff, sent me their playbooks, sent me their information, sent me their marketing, and said, Ashley, if this can be of value to you and this would be helpful, take it.
It's awesome.
No strings attached.
Yeah.
It's great.
That's great with the people sharing. I think that's, again, I think that's, you talk about our culture, and you talk about the willingness of people to help each other.
Yes.
It's incredible. I mean, it really is. And then you think about this. We talk about agents for agents. So we have 50 plus live trainings every single week in that universe that we call the Exp world that I talked about before. The important thing to note about that is these are classes being taught by the agents.
Yes.
So these are people that are out there doing it on a daily basis, high producing agents, saying, hey, this is how I did it.
Right.
And it doesn't matter if it's social media, if it's a listing presentation, buyer consultations, negotiating tactics, whatever it is.
Right.
We have something from A to Z on it. And the other thing I like about it is it doesn't matter what level you are. You could be a brand new agent who's just starting out and you're not sure where to go, or you could be a really high producing agent and you're learning something. Because think about this. Think about the offices that we ran. Remember your number one agent in the office. Who was their peer group? Who did they go to? They came to us,
Right.
but that's all they had.
Right.
How about the brand new agent? They don't want to bother everybody. They're worried about, I don't want to take the time from them, so they feel weird about asking. Then you have that middle agent in between. They kind of get stuck a lot of times. They're afraid to ask people. So
Right.
what I like about this is you have 86,000 plus people to lean on, and they're all willing to share that. And I just think that's great. So you got the live training. You have EXP University, which is within that world as well. Thousands and thousands of hours of training videos of everything we just talked about.
Right.
So all those trainings that are going on live, they're also being recorded and then they're stored. So you can go and access them anytime you want, which gets back to the efficiency thing.
Right.
You know, in between her tennis matches, she's probably studying something or listing appointments. We know how that goes. And then there's the mentor program as well.
Right.
So when we have a brand new agent, or we have an agent that has done less than 3 transactions in the last 6 months, they're automatically assigned a mentor and put into a mentor program, which is great for them. They have the support that they need. Furthermore, on support, since we're on that topic, there's another misconception out there when it comes to the virtual thing. Every state has live brokers in it.
Yes.
And I think it's important for people to understand that.
Right.
And those brokers have meetings every single week. So if there's a change in a contract, if there's something going on within your state, new rules and regulations, the brokers are talking to the state agents every single week in a live meeting. Yes. And I think that's critical.
Absolutely.
And not only that, because you talked about when we were managing, that's all they do.
Right.
So the brokers in our company, our sole focus are taking care of the agents and transaction management, where when you and I were doing it, we had to recruit, we had to train, we had to put out fires, we had to grow, we had to do everything, we had to worry about the budgets, we had to worry about everything.
Right.
So our brain was going 5 different ways, where our brokers, all they do is take care of agents, and agents have full access to them, which I think is great.
Right.
Right?
Yes.
Okay. A couple of other divisions I just want to touch on real quick. You're talking about, how do people make money? We do have a whole luxury division now. It's kind of new to EXP. We have a military network, which is incredible. We have a commercial division, and all 3 of these are international. So when we talk about those 23 countries and growing, by the way, all of this reaches out to all of that. And that's great for our agents to have that support. So let's talk about money. People are always asking about, all right, what's your commission split? What's your commission split?
Right.
Well, we like to call it more of a compensation package. And I do that because it's much more than just commission.
Agreed.
But let's focus on the commission part of that right now so people can understand that.
Sure.
One nice thing about what we do is everybo's on the same plan. Isn't that nice?
It is nice.
Where people
It
are trying
is
to negotiate, make all these deals and all this,
Yes.
and other agents get upset. That's not the deal here. Right. Everybody comes in on an 80-20 split. Plain and simple. No off the top, no franchise fee, no royalty fee. Why? Because we're not a franchise. So it's a straight 80-20 with a $16,000 cap, right? Plain and simple. What kind of fees do you have? I'm glad you asked, Ashley. So we have a joint fee. When you join EXP, there's a $149 fee. That's a one-time fee, and once you're in, you never pay that again. There's an $85 fee, which we call our cloud brokerage fee, and that gets you access to KV Core and all the stuff that we were talking about. That's a monthly fee. Then with every transaction, there's a $65 fee. $40 of that is a risk management fee, which caps at $500. Some people call that E&O. And then there's a $25 broker review fee on every transaction, just to make sure everything's in compliance.
Right.
Makes sense, right? That's it. Those are our fees. Pretty simple. Easy to explain to people. Bam. Now, we talked about compensation package. So probably the greatest opportunity that we have as a company when we talk about being agent-centric and we talk about a company built for agents, we really have 4 revenue streams, 4 opportunities to make money. The commission part is just one of them.
Right.
So let's get into some of these other 3 because I think they're critical. In the beginning, we talked about you're building a business, but are you building a legacy?
Right.
To me, this is that legacy part. And this is where the company really lays it out for agents. So we just talked about commission. The second part is there are stock awards that the company will just give you.
Right.
You don't have to pay. So for example, when Ashley comes over, and she did her first transaction, she got a $200 stock award from the company, just given to her. Boom, $200. Thank you very much. When she caps, she's going to get another $400 stock award. So the company just gave you $600 worth of stock.
Right.
How great is that?
It's fantastic.
It is fantastic. Ashley is in my downline, which we're going to talk about just a bit. But when she did her first transaction, I was awarded $400 worth of stock. So just given to me again by the company. That's incredible, right? Now, that only happens one time. So every time somebody you bring in does their first transaction, they get that one award. However, that $200 award that you got for your first transaction and the $400 award that you got for capping, that's every single year.
Right.
Every time that happens, you get the stock award. Again, so there's some passive income for you.
Absolutely.
Given to you, not paid.
And that was one of the big decision makers for me to come over.
Because
I'm being handed stock for doing something I'm already doing. and it's stock in a highly successful company. So.
Well, that's pretty awesome, right? Hey, that's a good infomercial. You're pretty
There we
good. So that's option number 2. Number 3, let's talk about Icon. Okay, so we talked about the commission split and how that works. When you cap, you then go from that. We talked about that $65 transaction fee. When you cap, you go to 100%.
100%.
A true 100%, right? Because there's no off the top.
Right.
So you're going to 100% commission. When you get to that point, you're paying $250 per transaction. Okay, so that went up a little bit because you're getting all the commission. Okay, that caps at $5,000. So that's about an additional 20 transactions after you cap. So if you're somebody that's doing 30 transactions, 35, I mean, more than likely you're going to Icon.
Right.
Okay, so when you Icon, what happens? Well, this is pretty cool. This is one of the things that really got my attention. So I was like, wow, you paid that $16,000 cap. When you Icon, you can get that back in the form of stock. So the first $8,000 of that is a reward just for Iconing. You get the $8,000 in stock back. Great. What about the other $8,000? Well, there's a couple of things attached to that. $4,000 will go what we call a cultural award. So as we talked about, there's 50 live trainings, agent trainings. They want you to train. Clearly, you're successful. If you're doing that kind of business, you're successful, and they want you to share your ideas. And just for doing that, they give you another $4,000 back. The last $4,000, you have to attend a couple of our events. So I know you were privy to one of these, so let's talk about that for a second. We have events across the country all year long. We have agent events, we have all these different trainings, but we have 2 big ones every year. We have what's called Shareholders, which is coming up. And then we have what's called Exp Con, which is our big convention, which this year had about 6,000 people in Las Vegas.
Yeah.
How was your experience with that? What did you think about it, and how did it affect your business?
It was really great. So the information that I received from all of the different speakers was just phenomenal. I came back and got right into action. And I would say that the way that my pipeline is building out right now is a direct result of a lot of the things I picked up at Exp Con. And as well, I was able to meet people in person and to really, make those connections and build out that networking and that referral group that I'm really looking forward to having. So I would say it was a great experience.
And that's the cool thing about it, because, and you bring up a very good point, the people on stage at EXPCon are agents.
Yes.
It's not corporate people just rah-rah cheerleading.
Right.
It's agents saying, this is what I do.
They're giving you actionable information.
That you took home with you.
Yes.
And turned into action.
Right.
And we know that your results are a direct reflection of your actions.
Right.
So changing your actions will change your results, right? So by doing that, by going to those things that we encourage people to do anyway, that's how you get the remaining $4,000 in stock. So essentially, what did you really pay?
Right.
You just paid $16,000 in cap. You got $16,000 back in return in the form of stock. So there's another way for passive income.
Right.
The last way, or the third way, I'm sorry, is agent equity. So we have an agent equity program. I'm not sure if are you participating in that?
I am, yes.
So it's a no-brainer. Here's what that means. You can take 5% of every commission that you make and buy company stock at a 10% discount. That's funny. I had somebody say to me, they're like, yeah, but it's only 10%. I said, well, if you invest money in something, you have a 10% return, you're generally pretty happy.
Right.
So that's pretty cool. And if you're coming from a brokerage right now or a company now where you're used to paying an off-the-top fee, you're paying a franchise fee, you're already paying it.
Right.
But instead of paying it to them, you're paying it to yourself.
Yes.
And you're making money the day you do it.
Right.
So we've got this aggressive commission structure, which is great. The ability to make 100%. We have stock awards given to you by the company. We have Icon awards. We have agent equity that you can do. And there's another one that we call revenue share. So in a nutshell, all right, here's revenue share. We are all stockholders. We help grow the company. What I like about what we're doing is Glenn's saying, hey, look, if you help the company grow, we're going to reward you.
Right.
It's that simple, which also adds to the culture. Look, you and I knew each other. I joined the company, reached out to you because you're a close friend, and I look at it as a gift. When I look at all these different revenue streams and passive income streams and ways that I can set up the legacy, I want my close inner circle friends to share in that.
Right.
You said a statement before, you're doing what you're doing anyway.
Right.
So you and I have recruited people for a living.
Yes.
You recruited hundreds of people at your former place.
Yes.
How much money did you make off of them? Enough said.
Not that much.
Enough said. So the thing that's to understand here is that this is not profit share based off of how your office does.
Right.
This is revenue share. So you're under me, and every time you sell a house, I get a piece of it.
Right.
The company dollar, not yours. It doesn't affect you whatsoever. So that goes 7 levels deep, so 7 generations deep.
Right.
So think about what you were talking about. Think about the legacy. I have a way out. I have a true exit strategy. And the more that the people I tell people about how they're doing with it, the more this organization grows.
Right.
Think about the opportunity that could mean. And the fact that you can leave that for your family and you're leaving the legacy, you can will it to your family. I think it's incredibly powerful. And I have to think that factored into your decision to come here.
It did. Absolutely. Yeah, it was a really exciting opportunity, and especially with my coaching company that I also have in place, I think that that's a natural byproduct of having my coaching company, people wanting to be in business with me. And, I have a heart for giving back to other agents, and I think this company really rewards us for doing that.
Yeah, the hard thing, I'm totally into that. The philosophy for my personal business was always give to get.
Right.
If you give, then you don't have to worry about getting. And if you do your job right and you hold up the integrity of what you do,
right,
then you'll never have to worry about that stuff. And it's the truth here. So when we're out there talking to people about our company and what we do, it's authentic and it's coming from a real place. And to have the opportunity to do this with friends and people that you care about and have a path to financial freedom outside of just selling houses, that's a big deal. Think about this. What if you're the only breadwinner in your house?
right,
What if you got in an accident?
right,
Right? What if something happened that you can't work? It means commissions aren't coming in, but you have this passive income coming.
yes,
There are several dozens, if not more, stories that I've been hearing in my short time here of how the passive income has saved people financially. And it's also allowed people to retire their spouse or loved one, because this passive income just keeps coming. That goes on forever and ever and ever. So unbelievable opportunity. Hey, look, it's pretty cool.
it is.
It's pretty cool. And, Ashley and I came in with just over 80,000 people here. I had this opportunity years ago, many, many years ago. And there was about maybe 8 to 10,000 agents. And now we're at 80 something. When I came in, I was like, God, I should have jumped in when there was only 8,000 agents or 10,000 agents. But you know what? And I say, and we're on the same page, I said to everybody watching, you don't want to be the person 3 years from now saying, when there's 500,000 people here, hopefully, saying, God, I wish I would have gotten when there was only 86,000, right? So we feel very fortunate to be here. It's the best for us. We really enjoy it. If you need more information about the stuff we were talking about, there's a link here in the chat. Just click on that, and that'll give you the slide deck of all the information that we talked about today. There's also the Join That link. This is also in the chat that you see in the box there, and that will get your process started. If you don't do it now, all you have to do is Google Join EXP, and the same link will come up there. So thank you so much for spending time with me today.
Thank you, Frank.
It's been awesome. It's been awesome. I'm so happy to be in business with you.
Same here.
And proud. You're a good friend. Thank you for joining us today, and we hope to see you soon.